Hi everyone, welcome back to my class. So today we are going to continue our lesson from where we stopped last time. We are going to learn more about habitat, about species, population, community, and also ecosystem. So I hope everyone is ready and let's go. So, before we go further into this chapter, these are 5 important terms that you need to remember in order for you to master the whole concept. So we have Kim Namjoon right here, okay, to make sure you're still in your right mind before we continue our lesson. Let's go. So, the very first term, the very first important words that we are going to learn is called habitat. Okay, so what is a habitat? It is a natural surrounding or a home for organism. Okay, so it's basically a place where organism makes it a home, okay, where they can find and where they can gather food, where they can select their mate and successfully reproduce. Okay, so it's literally where they live. A space or a place where they live is called a habitat. So if you look at the picture here on the right, okay, so we have polar bear, okay, living in their habitat. So the habitat for polar bear is in the Arctic region or in the polar region. So remember, habitat is a place where organisms live. And now we are going to learn about the second word, which is species. Okay, what is a species? Species means a group of organisms, okay, that have a common characteristic and can reproduce to breed offspring. So it means that the group of individual, okay, that have similar characteristics that are similar to each other and they can reproduce to make babies. Okay, so for example, we have 4 different species on the screen right now. We have species 1. So octopus species 1 can reproduce, can make with another octopus to make babies octopus. Okay, but octopus species 1 cannot mate with species 2, which is the seahorse, to make babies because they are different species. I hope that clears things up about species. Okay, so the next word that we are going to learn is called population. What is a population? So population means a group of organisms of the same species, so very similar to species that we learned just now, that live in the same habitat. So we are focusing on the same species that live in the same area, same habitat. So for example, if you look at the screen, we have first population, population 1, which means a groups of octopus that probably live in the sea. Okay, so we can also have a population 2, population of seahorse that can also live in the sea. So population 1 is different from population 2 because they belong to different species. And if we look at the screen now, we have a total of 4 different population because we have 4 different group of species. So how about the word community? Community means a few population. Again, we just learned about population just now, but just now we learned about one population. So community means few population or many population, okay, of a different organism that live together in one habitat and have mutual interaction with each other. So in other words, community means many population live together in one place and interact with each other. So for example, here is example of sea community which have 4 different population. We have population of octopus, population of seahorse, population of sharks, and population of crab all live in the sea, okay, and they belong to one community. And the fifth word and the last word that we are going to learn today is called ecosystem. So what is an ecosystem? A few communities that live together in one habitat can you see the pattern here, and have mutual interaction with one another, including all the non-living components such as water, air, and soil. So up until now, all the words that we have learned, for example, population, for example, species, and also community, all involve the living things, okay? But ecosystem involve the community and also the non-living things. For example, we have soil here, we have water, we have air, we have sunlight, all belongs together with the living things and make one ecosystem. So we have the ecosystem here. Now, let's make a quick summary of what we have learned so far. We have learned about species, a group of individuals that have the same characteristic and produce babies is called species. Okay? So one species, a group of species together live in one habitat is called population. Okay? So population is made up of one species. Many population is called community. So for example, here we have a pond community which made up of tadpole population, which made up of snail population, which made up of plant population, which made up of mosquito larvae population, okay, all living together in a place, and this is called community. So this community together with abiotic factors or non-living things is called ecosystem. So ecosystem means community plus non-living factors, non-living things. For example, we have water, we have soil, we have air, and also we have sunlight. So that would make an ecosystem. So now let's learn about a balanced ecosystem. An organism in an ecosystem are interdependent on each other, they depend on each other, they need each other, and they also interdependent on non-living things. For example, water, they need light, they also need air, and also soil. So when all of this exists together in harmony, one balanced ecosystem is achieved. So the organism have to be able to adapt to the environment in order to survive. So for example, organisms that live in the tropical region have to be able to endure and adapt to rainfall and sunlight throughout the year. Okay? Organisms that live in the desert have to endure extremely hot and dry weather. And organisms that live in the tundra, for example, they have to able to adapt to the long winter and also short summer. Now, let's have a look at the factors that may influence, that may affect population size in an ecosystem. So remember the word population that we learned just now? It means a group of species that live together in a habitat. So for example, disease. So we have avian flu here. It will attack chicken. So when the avian flu occurs, the population of chicken, the number of chicken will drop. Okay, and we also have, for example, tobacco mosaic virus in tobacco crops also will cause drops in tobacco crop. So in general, disease will cause drops or reduce in population size of in an ecosystem. Next factors that influence the population size and an ecosystem is the presence of predator. Okay, so what happens in the presence of predator? Predator will eat the prey. So when predator eat the prey, the number of prey will be dropped. Okay, so for example here we have raw. Okay, what does it raw mean? Not the you're gonna hear me raw. So what happened here? Size of zebra population, okay, will be decreased, will drop in savanna ecosystem when there is a presence of lion, because lion is the predator. They eat the prey, which is zebra. So the number of zebra will decrease when there is lion. Okay, the next factor that influence population size is source of food. Okay, for example here, we have panda. Panda, that depends on bamboo as the primary source of food. So when the number of bamboo is not much, okay, when the number of bamboo is limited, the population of panda will be affected as well, will be dropped or will be reduced because they depends on bamboo for them to eat. Not enough bamboo, the population of panda will drop or reduce. And this is an example of situation that occurs in Malaysia. Okay, so in Malaysia, crow population has been increased, burung gagak, okay, because there's abundance of food scrap. Why? Apparently, we are not being very responsible. We eat anything, we just throw away in the street. So there's a lot of litter, okay, which compose or consists of food scrap. So crow, they eat them. And because there's a lot of food scrap, there is an increase and abundance of population of crow. So when we talk about food source, okay, the population may increase when food source is increased, and the population will be dropped or decreased when the food source is decreased. So another factors that influence population size is change of weather. So for example, we have drought. Okay, so when there is a drought, soil become very dry and also infertile. Okay, and there is also the risk of fires, forest fire. And what happened when soil become dry and infertile? The population of plants will be dropped because they cannot live when it comes to very dry soil. So when the population of plant drop, some animal that eat on plant will be affected as well. So the population of plant and animal will be decreased when there is a change of weather. Next, we are going to learn about changes in ecosystem. So there are few changes that can occur in the ecosystem. The first one is migration. So what is migration? It's a movement of an animal from one place to another place due to the change in season. So some animal, they like to go to another place after some time and then go back to another place after some time. So they move, they migrate a lot. Okay, so for example, we have cattle egret in Perak, in Kuala Gula, Perak. They migrate from September to April. So this population of birds, they will migrate to Perak from September to April. And what happened after they migrate? Okay, the number of insect, the population of insect in that area will be decreased. For example, grasshopper, crickets, spider, flies, and also worm will be decreased. Why? Because this population or these groups of birds, they will eat on this insect. So the number of insects at Perak, okay, will be decreased. So the next changes that may occur in the ecosystem is when there is a limited water supply. For example, for paddy, they require a lot of water for them to survive. So during a long drought season, okay, when there is a long period of hot and dry, no rain, this will upset the balance in the population of paddy field because they need a lot of water. Okay, so when the paddy field is affected, the food web, okay, will be affected as well because the population of the producer is decreased. So when the population of producer is decreased, okay, so the whole food web will be affected. All the animal will be decreased as well. So the next changes that may occur in the ecosystem, the last one, is the change in population. So for example, the size of population will decrease or increase because there is change in another population because all the interaction between organisms. So for example, okay, we have pests such as beetles and caterpillars. Okay, so when beetles and caterpillars, they feed on plant. So when there's too much beetle and caterpillars, the number of plant will be dropped because a lot of beetle and caterpillar will eat plant. Okay, so when the number of plant will drop, okay, so the beetle and caterpillar don't have enough food. So what happened? They also die. So when they die, what happened to plant? Plants started to grow again. So there is always an increase and decrease in the population size and change in population size because the interaction between the organism. So this is about it for today's class. If you think you got confused in any part of this, please let me know. Just telegram me, and don't forget to do the quiz that I will be putting in the Google Classroom. Have a good day and see you in the next class. Bye bye.